Yamena mayob oh eh oh eh oh oh eh oh eh oh oh Yamena mayob oh eh oh eh oh eh oh eh oh Yamena Yamena, 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 oh, oh, Yamena, 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 Yamena.
Yamina, 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 a little taste of Mikey Pucker's Summer to Good. Before that, we heard Navatahila, a really energetic tune called Celebration. Hope you're all celebrating this beautiful Wednesday evening here in Southern California. Hope you're all doing well. Nice to see those who are with us on Zoom. And speaking of celebration, we are celebrating the triumphant return of Rabbi Jonathan Kupitz. Shalom Rav.
Erev Tov, everyone. Wonderful to be back with you and to be able to share a little time with you this evening. We'll start with a little music to get us started.
Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. Shalom aleichem, salam aleikum. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. How good it is, how sweet it is to be together on this day. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad. Shevet achim gam yachad.
Yes, how good it is to be with all of you. And hi to those with us on Facebook, to Donna and to Ellen and to anybody else who's there with us. Quick story. Korach was always worried about people taking his stuff. When he was a kid and other kids came over to play rocks which was the only game back then. He would always count his rocks when the kid left to see if anybody had taken one of them. When Korach grew up, he never changed. When he grew grapes, he counted every grape. When he grew wheat, he counted every stalk. It was such a silly sight to see a big wheat field with little name tags on every stalk of wheat, a big vineyard with numbers written on every grape. Everybody who saw it said the same thing. That's just stupid, selfish old Korach doing something stupid and selfish again to make sure that nobody takes his stuff. Moses was a relative of Korach, tried to get him to change, but even Moses had no luck. When the wheat was all grown, Korach cut it stalk by stalk and picked up every grain that fell to the ground. Moses said to Korach, "You can't do that. God told us to leave the wheat that drops in the field so that poor people could come into the fields when we are done and pick up the dropped wheat and make bread for themselves too." "Let the poor people get dropped wheat from some other guy's field," growled Korach. "Nobody takes my stuff." When Korach cut the wheat stalks, he cut every stalk in every field, all the way to the corners. Moses said to Korach, "You can't do that. God told us not to cut the corners of our fields, so poor people can come and take the wheat that is growing in the corners and make bread for themselves too." "Let them get the wheat from the corners of some other guy's field," Korach said. "Nobody takes my stuff." When Korach picked the grapes from his vineyard, he picked every single grape, counting each one as he put it into the basket. Moses told Korach, "You can't do that. God told us to leave some grapes on the vine so others can come into our vineyard and pick some leftover grapes and make some wine for themselves too." "Let them pick the leftover grapes from some other guy's vineyard," snickered Korach. "Nobody takes my stuff." And that's how things went for years. Korach got selfisher and richer and richer. Then one year, something really weird happened. That year brought a great harvest of wheat and grapes for everybody except Korach. When rain fell, it fell on everybody else's field except Korach's. When the sun came out, it shone on everybody else's field except Korach's. When the bugs came, they skipped over everybody else's field and ate up everything in Korach's. By the end of the growing time, everybody had big crops except Korach, who had no crops. All Korach had was lots and lots of dust and bugs. Korach had used up all his money buying bug killers and getting water, but nothing helped. Korach had no food in his house. He had no wine, no grapes, no apples, no honey, no bread. Lots of people were happy that Korach had nothing. Most folks were saying things behind his back. "That good for nothing, selfish Korach. I hope he learns now what it is to have nothing." Korach just sat there in his dusty, buggy fields and put his hands in his head, crying, his head in his hands, crying. Korach would have starved if it were not for Moses. Moses brought him bread and grapes and tried to cheer him up. When harvest time came along, Moses took Korach with him. "Where are we going?" Korach asked Moses. "Just come along and you'll see." They went to a nearby field that had been harvested already, but the corners of the field still had wheat stalks growing and there was lots of cut wheat lying on the ground. A whole bunch of people were standing around the field waiting. Then the farmer said, "Okay, come on, everybody. The stuff in the field is for anyone who needs it. I did not cut the corners and I didn't pick up anything that fell to the ground. So there's plenty here for all of you." Everybody ran into the field, but Korach just stood there. "It's not my field," Korach said to Moses. "It's not my wheat. I can't take it. I would rather starve." Moses put his arm around Korach and spoke softly to him. "Korach, everything is God's. The wheat and the grapes, the farmer in the fields, the sun and the rain, the bugs and the cows, everything is God's. We're just kind of renting all this stuff from God. And we show that we know God owns everything by giving some of what God gave us away. It's really simple. God owns everything, and we don't need to take it all." Korach tried to smile. "All I have to give away are bugs." Then a little girl came over to Korach, handed him a few stalks of wheat and said, "Here, mister, God gave us enough. You take some." That night, Korach ate bread and grapes. After he ate, he prayed to God. This was the first prayer he had ever prayed. "God, thank you for sharing your stuff with me. I will try to share my stuff from now on." The next year, Korach's field got sun and rain, and the wheat grew tall and the grapes grew plump. At harvest time, Korach called everyone to his field and said, "This year I did not cut the corners of my field. In fact, This year I did not cut anything. I'm giving all my wheat and all my grapes to the people who got nothing from me for so many years. And if there's anything left over, I will leave it for the wild animals." Everybody cheered Korach, and Moses gave him a big hug. That night, even the bunnies had bread and grapes to eat. That night, everyone had enough stuff. All right. Anybody have anything they want to share? Hi, Aurora. Go ahead.
We played in the water table and we played with Play-Doh today.
I didn't hear the second part. Was that Play-Doh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Water table and Play-Doh.
And did you want to say you did puzzles and read books?
No, I want to read books.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Tell Rabbi what you made with Play-Doh.
Then we played together we played a puzzle together.
Wow. That was a busy day. You did a lot of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to say hi to Ellen? Yeah, please. Nah.
Who's there?
Who's that?
No.
Rabbi who?
Knock. What I do? Then do.
Oh, we said Cantor Who now.
Cantor who? Cantor Paul. It'll be. Woo. There you go.
Knock.
Okay.
You're doing a lot of knocking. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have anything they want to share? No? All right. Yeah, Yvonne, go ahead.
We'd like to welcome you back home.
Oh, thank you, Yvonne.
We
We
missed
had a
you.
nice trip
We
and
missed
we're
you.
back and good and back to work.
Did you say you went to Iceland?
We went to Iceland. Yeah. So
Yes, I had an exchange student many, many years ago from the Faroe Islands, which is not too far from Iceland. And real quick, she told me that, fishing is their main, thing there. And they would, foreigners could come in mostly from Israel and help them in the canneries and, get all the fish ready and what have you. But they were only allowed to stay 3 months and then they would have to go home. They wouldn't let them become residents. I thought that was interesting.
fishing is still a big part of the economy in Iceland, certainly as well. Although I think tourism is number one for them now. They get, tourists who come. Some of these towns are really small that we visited, like, 500 people, something like that. So more people come to the town as tourists than live in the town. So it's,
True.
all right. Cantor Paul, I guess we'll move into our Shema and Hashemenu prayers.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Leolam, Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom L'Shalom Ve'hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Amen. Shelter us beneath your wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right, O Adonai. Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen. Amen. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom L'Shalom Ve'amidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha Ufros Aleinu Sukat Shlomecha
Just a few announcements. Just first, always check your congregational email for upcoming things. There's a right after this at 7:15 on the Adult Jewish Learning link is Gary Gilbert is talking about the new Israeli government and its opportunities and challenges. So that is happening right after this. And we will have virtual Shabbat services this Friday night, both at 6:30 and at 7:30. So no in-person services this week. And stay tuned for after this week for what our service schedule will be. Keep watching your announcements from TBI. Cantor Paul, anything you want to add?
Just want to remind anyone who's connected with Beit Sefer, we have a very important Zoom meeting for Beit Sefer families tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. If you look in your emails from TBI, both from Monday and last week, and it'll be in the email that you receive tomorrow late afternoon, although it'll only be 2 hours before the meeting. It's one of those deals you have to register for to get the special link to join the meeting. So we'll be introducing some exciting new ideas we have about what's happening in Beit Sefer for this coming year, and invite you all to join us if Beit Sefer is something that you're connected with.
Great, thank you. Let's close with a song.
Sure, we'll make it a kind of quick one here. Ose shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael, Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel. Useh Shalom bimromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, huya ase shalom aleinu. Ose shalom bimroma, huya ase shalom aleinu. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom, yase shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yoshei Tevel. Amen.
Thanks so
Shalom,
much for
everybody.
being with us. We'll see y'all soon.
The Heat
Take
Road
care.
heading over to